Hello, ladies, ambies, and gents. So, in possibly the least shocking news ever, YouTube atheism is full of racists, xenophobes, and various other bigots. Yes, this is a bit of a commentary on, it's sort of a response to a video Alex Barton did recently. I think it was called Has YouTube Atheism Jumped the Shark? Which in itself was a follow-up to another video he'd done called Has Sci-10 Atheist Jumped the Shark? Now, I think he's taken at least one of these videos down, which is a bit of a shame, because they were quite good videos. The only real thing I'd call Alex up on with these, and it's a bit of a kind of tough love thing here, because I kind of like Alex. It's a bit of a tough love here. It's like, Alex, the YouTube atheism jumped the shark a long time ago, years ago. It jumped the shark. If you remember Pat Condell, who's still knocking around, still rattling around, blurting out the opinions of angry old man in pub. He came out years ago, didn't he, as a supporter of UKIP, and he advocated for UKIP. He also came out against the mosque at Ground Zero, which is actually a community centre. He opposed that. Now, he was at the time, I think, the biggest atheist channel on YouTube, if not one of the biggest. But he's still pretty popular. I don't think he's in the top 3 anymore, but he's still a very popular channel, and he's blatantly very conservative, very reactionary, and obviously very xenophobic, racist, and all other manner of bigotry. He's also a staunch anti-feminist. He's also spoken out against he's openly ridiculed and belittled the idea of transgender issues. So I don't think it should really shock too many people that this is still going on. The fact that suddenly the YouTube atheist community has started to embrace Tommy Robinson, who, by the way, is a Christian, as well as being a xenophobe and a general all-round bigot, is a Christian, has embraced him to their bosom. It shouldn't surprise too many people, but okay, to be fair, the light goes on with different people at different times. Some of us twig things quite early on, some of us it takes a bit longer. It depends. We all take in information differently, I suppose. But basically, some people have been telling me Tommy Robinson he's not part of the EDL anymore. Okay, so that's true, he's not. So I've looked up the group he is involved in. He's the founder of Bigoted UK. I presume that's how you pronounce it. Peg, it's a German word, apparently. And, okay, let's look at what they believe. So I'm just reading the Wikipedia page here. If anyone wants to give me a better source, they're perfectly welcome to. So Robinson said he hoped Bigoted UK would be different from the EDL. They would attract a more middle-class demographic and would discourage the loutish behaviour and alcohol-fueled violence of the EDL. Robinson seeks to halt to Muslim immigration, the closure of Sharia courts, a ban on the wearing of the burqa, and a moratorium on mosque construction. Okay, so basically he just believes all the same things the EDL believe, except, they're also classist. They want the middle class racists. Yes, that's what we want, yes. We're not like those loutish, alcohol-fueled racists over there. No, we are the rather classy racists. That's who we are. We are trying to attract here, old bean. Yes, so basically, yes, Tommy Robinson is still a xenophobe, still a racist, still completely worthy of all the contempt he receives from people on the progressive side of the fence. This has been going on a long time. I mean, the thing with Pat Condell is, like, people, when he came out in support of UKIP, and later, he came out in blatant support of the EDL, when he did this, people either agreed with it because they were as staunchly conservative as he was, but you got these other people who tried to rationalise it, and they kind of piss me off more. They try and think a way around it. They say, well, could we interpret Pat Condell's support of racist, xenophobic, and otherwise bigoted organisations as somehow not racist, xenophobic, and otherwise bigoted? Is there a way we could think around this? We could talk. I really hate it when people do that. It's like, look, if someone's a bigot, they're a bigot. There's no point trying to sort of think of a way you could view them as not being one, because they'll still be one. You just won't be viewing them like that. Richard Dawkins, possibly the most famous atheist in the world, he not only didn't speak out against Pat Gondell, he sells Pat Gondell's DVDs of Pat Gondell's videos from his website. What's worse is, in some of these videos, Pat Gondell actually uses Christian fundamentalist literature to support his opinions about Islam. That's what his sources are. So basically, Richard Dawkins, the most famous atheist in the world, sells Christian propaganda from his website. That's how fucked up the situation is. That is how much people of a free pass people have given to Pat Gondell. And this is broadly one of the things that pisses me off about YouTube atheism. It just seems like an utterly rudderless, directionless... It's not even really a movement. It's just a bunch of people who think they've achieved the pinnacle of human achievement by not believing in gods. And I just hold the bar a little bit higher personally for what qualifies as an amazing person than do you or do you not believe in gods. I also don't think, someone who, just because they happen to believe in gods, is necessarily some sort of underachiever. There are some very intelligent people now and throughout history who've believed in gods, who've made some amazing contributions to the world around us. Believing in gods is not the sort of necessarily the sort of hindrance YouTube atheists would have us believe it is. It can be in certain contexts, yes, absolutely, but it's not the hindrance they seem to think it is. And as I understand, Live Life 8072 has made a video about this drama. I haven't watched it because, to be honest, I really cannot stand watching his videos. He just is one of the thickest fucks I've ever encountered anywhere. Every sort of stupid thing you could believe or advocate for, he just seems to advocate for it without a hint of embarrassment. He just seems to think he's made all the worst arguments you could ever make, basically. On the issue of religion and secular issues, he's made them all. I probably will torture myself and watch it eventually, but I'm not looking forward to it. It's the video I think is almost 20 minutes long as well, which is just kind of painful. Like, there's only so much stupidity I can really take in one sitting, but I'll give it a go. But yeah, I mean, the YouTube atheism, it jumped the shark a long time ago. YouTube atheism, for what I can gather, is essentially would be better termed as being secular conservative libertarianism, because that, if you actually look at the values that the community seems to loudly hold, it's those. They seem to be its actual values. They seem to object to anything like feminism or anything to do with social justice more broadly. They seem to object to it for the same reason any other kind of conservative libertarian would. They seem to really object to people doing things like disabling comments or things like that. Again, why? Because for the same reasons conservative libertarians do, because they have a very skewed and inaccurate understanding of what free speech is. So I very much agree with what Alex has said there. The only thing is I think it's a shame that it's taken him this long to twig that that's actually what YouTube atheism is all about. But yeah, I don't really see the point of YouTube atheism anymore, because I mean it's been going for about 10 years now, and that's just kind of depressing when you look at all the very small amount of things it's ever achieved, and people are still having the same arguments. I mean, you've still just got basically a bunch of reactionaries wandering around the internet. I think they would love it if someone like Venom Fang X came back, or some new version of that came back. They would love it if a load of creationists came along and set up channels, because then they could just relive the glory days. They could relive the glory days of last decade, where they could just pwn creationists and consider themselves intelligent for having done so. But the fact is, the world has moved on and they haven't. I would say as well, the objection YouTube atheists have to social justice, to me, is what makes them very much just a reactionary non-movement. Because people always tell me, that the reason we speak out about atheism, the reason we have to sort of have this community, is because in some parts of the world, and most notably like the deep south of America, atheists are constantly marginalised by people. They're viewed as some sort of lower form of life, and apparently I keep getting told that they're not allowed to hold office. I don't know how true that is. I've heard a few different views about it, but if we assume that it's true, basically what you're saying is, in a nutshell, atheists don't have social justice, and they deserve it. So you'd think they would be on board with social justice. You'd think they'd be like, okay, yeah, let's make it so atheists have the same rights, opportunities, and social status as people who aren't atheists. That's essentially what social justice is. It's when you believe that all people should have, all else being equal, all people should have equal rights, opportunities, and social status. And you'd think, yeah, okay, let's factor atheism into that. Let's factor atheism into the various different social justice causes that there is. Let's factor it in, along with feminism, LGBTQ rights, black civil rights, all these. Let's factor that in. Let's factor secularism into that. But they don't seem to want to do that. So I just wonder, what's the aim here? You just want to have a big old moan and stamp of your feet and run around poning creationists. It just seems like 10 fucking years on, and that's all that's ever been achieved, really. So, yeah, I just don't see really the point of YouTube atheism. I do see the point of discussing things like secularism and humanism, which is why I discuss those things from time to time. I do discuss secular issues, humanistic issues and things like that. But a lot of YouTube atheists not only aren't secularists and humanists, they actively oppose that kind of thing. Again, Pat Condell, Thunderfoot. These people, they were against the mosque at Ground Zero, which is not a mosque. At Park 51, it's called. It's an Islamic community centre. They were opposed to that. They thought that should not be allowed to happen. Straight away, if you oppose something like that, you are now an anti-secularist. You've decided that people are not entitled to religious freedom, because that's what secularism essentially is. It's freedom of religion, and for those of us who are atheists, it's freedom from religion. It means that you can do what you want, you can practice your religion, but only so much as that it doesn't intrude on the rights of other people. That's all it is. But when you start saying, "Oh, you're not allowed to buy some land and build a mosque on it, or a community," it wouldn't matter if it was a mosque. It's not a mosque, but it wouldn't matter if it was. You can do what you like. If you start saying to people you can't buy some land and build your religious building on it, what you're basically saying is you're not entitled to religious freedom. Well, you're not entitled to the same religious freedoms as Christians are. Christians can build churches if they want, but you can't build mosques. We're just not having that. Sorry, we don't. We're not going to let you have religious freedom. So straight away, they're not secularists. They are. What they're doing is actually closer to state atheism, although it's not really that either, because they seem to be forming this kind of weird alliance with Christians along the lines of the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and that's what they're doing right now with Tommy Robinson, who is a Christian, by the way. He advocates for an anti-secular state. He advocates for Christianity as the state religion, which it currently is in the United Kingdom. And as a secularist, I oppose that. I think we shouldn't have a state religion. We should be a secular nation. So essentially, yeah, YouTube atheists are just a bunch of bigots, reactionaries wandering around the internet looking for creationists to pwn, and they can't find any because they've all gone. So that's basically it. So it's not that surprising to me that they're on board. They're in cahoots with someone like Tommy Robinson, who is, yes, still a bigot, always has been, and I suspect always will be. It does not surprise me that Psy 10 Atheist supports Tommy Robinson, because he is a bigot. And I did, to be fair, I did call this out. This is one of the things I mentioned to Alex I think it was a few months back, when he first did a video making fun of Bionic Dance for having epilepsy. I was like, look, this is, a sign that someone is just bigoted. They don't have anything sensible to say. And we got into a kind of confused argument about free speech, which again is just one of these things that happens within YouTube atheism. But yeah, overall, I thought Alex's videos were pretty on point. The only thing was I think they were a little bit late to the party. But yeah, I don't see the point of YouTube atheism anymore. I do see the point of YouTube secularism. If people wanted to get on board with secularism, YouTube humanism would be good. YouTube social justice, that would also be good. If people wanted to start talking about social justice from a secular perspective, that would be great. But the vast majority of YouTube atheists, I don't think, are remotely interested in those sort of things, which means I'm just not that interested in them either, really. Anyway, let me know what you think. Goodbye.